Okay, let's take a look at how to evaluate expressions that have rational exponents, or in other words, they have fraction exponents. So here I've got a base a raised to a fraction exponent m over n, and there's two ways you can evaluate it. You can either first do the nth root of the base and then raise it to the m power, or you could first take the base and raise it to the m power and then take the nth root. Thing to keep in mind is that n is the root and m is the power. So as long as you keep those straight, you'll be all set. And this is the method that I like best, this one right here, the first one, which is to first take the root, because you're always going to be making your numbers smaller if you take a root, so they're easier to work with mentally. So let's take a look at a few problems. If I have 100 to the half, again, the denominator of the fractional exponent is the root. So that means I can take the square root of 100, which is 10, raise it to the 1 power, which is still 10. So I get an answer of 10. And I left a gap here to write it out in this format up here, in the radical format, which is a good step to put in when you're first learning this. But what you want to do is transition over to doing these mentally if you can. So if we have 100 to the half, that's the same as doing the square root of 100 and then raising it to the 1 power. Alright, so 2 is the root and 1 is the power. 8 to the 1/3. That's the cube root of 8, which is 2. Raise it to the 1 power. So the answer is 2. And that would be cube root of the base raised to the 1 power. And the next one we've got 16 to the 1/4. So we have the 4th root of 16, which is 2, raised to the 1 power, which is still 2. And again, in radical form, that would be first do the root. So 4th root of 16, raise that result to the power, which is 1 in this case. And now if we have, now the last three have powers different from 1, but we're going to approach it the exact same way. 8 to the 2/3, we do the cube root of 8, which is 2, and then square it, which would be 4. And if we write that out in radical form, we have cube root of 8, and we're going to take that result and raise it to the power, which is the numerator, like that. So cube root of 8 is 2, raise that to the 2nd power, and that's what gave us the 4. And 27 to the 4/3, we have cube root of 27, which is 3, and if we raise that to the 4th power, we'll get 81. And writing that out with radical format, cube root of 27, take that result, raise it to the 4th power, and we're getting 3 to the 4th, or 81. And the last one, 32 to the 4/5, we want to take the 5th root of 32, which is 2, raise it to the 4th power, and we get 16. So I'll write this one out in radical format also, and remember, after you do it out a few times in radical format, if you find that helpful, try to transition over to not writing it out in radical format anymore. Just do the root first, then do the power, and you'll get your answer.